It's just doing some internal housekeeping here to make the screen as big as possible. And let me see if that works. That does not work. This works. We are going to be doing a little AEW collision review. Now, I don't think I'll be doing too many collision reviews unless, by the way, I'm wearing my Will Ospreay track jacket, courtesy of Blacksmith. It's a UK company. Perfect fit. Look at that. Perfect fit. So I believe you can order these now at your leisure. So overall, I'm going to say I just finished watching it. Before I get into it, I'll give this collision. I pretty much give all AEW shows the same grade, and it's not because I'm lazy. Um, it's just how I feel. I'll give it a B plus because unlike a lot of collisions, um, this one actually advanced storylines into the pay-per-view. It's a big week, excuse me, for AEW. You've got Dynamite on Wednesday. You've got Rampage and Collision Friday at the Kia Forum, and Saturday, the Full Gear pay-per-view. My friend is sitting fourth row, ringside, main camera side. Will be holding up a Earl Skakel rules sign. So that will be fun to see. And so screenshot that if you see it. And I will be in attendance. I'm probably going by myself. I have very few friends of mine who are wrestling fans, and the few that are like WWE better than AEW. I'm the complete opposite, as you know. Um, but I don't mind going by myself. But let's get into Collision. Very good card. You had Daniel Garcia against Andre El Idolo. The second match was Roosh and Dralistico against the Workhorsemen. You had a very good match, one of my favorite matches on the card. The very underrated and I would say underused Dalton Castle against Nick Wayne. That was a good match. You had a nice promo by Adam Hangman Page, probably his best promo I've seen. It was like I was into it. And then you had Roderick Strong against Darius Martin, Willow Nightingale against Julia Hart, and of course the main event was Sting, Darby Allin, and Adam Copeland against the Murder Hawk monster, Lance Archer. Very, very underrated and underused. And the Righteous. And they're growing on me, to be honest with you. Something about them that just, I think the bigger of the two kind of reminds me of the Big Boss Man. And the other dude, I don't quite know his name. He's good. Like you can tell he's the leader and the big guy's going to do all the power moves and whatnot. But so we'll get into it. The opening match was a very good match. I thought, I don't know, a wrestling card is kind of like a stand-up show. I don't know if you want your best match or slash best comic on the lineup first, because then it's going to basically be all downhill from there. Um, but so when I saw Daniel Garcia and Andrade, it's like, oh man, that's you just knew that was going to be a good match. Like you can't imagine those two having a bad match, even if they tried. And Andrade came out with C.J. Perry, of course, Miro's real life wife, and you can tell they're setting up an angle, because they show Miro in the back watching. I don't think it'll be at Full Gear. I mean, that would just seem silly to rush it like that. Um, but I do hope Miro gets in the ring more often going into 2024, and Andrade too. Um, so, very good match. I don't know how long it lasted. I guess 10 or so minutes, maybe a little longer. Back and forth. Very good storyline throughout the match. Um, they'd cut to Miro looking in the back. They'd cut to little shots of CJ Perry watching, doing her little devil smile, and it's kind of funny. She did a little, Daniel Garcia match or dance, just for a second. Um, but then Andrade won, tapping out Daniel Garcia, but it didn't really make Daniel Garcia look weak. I mean, um, basically, if you guys don't know, Andrade uses his wife finisher to his wife is Charlotte Flair. So, gonna be interesting to see where this storyline plays out. Um, obviously, I would guess I don't know if there's a pay per view in December, but I would think that that one would probably have Miro and Andrade. Um, what up? What up? What up, Jason? Um, just doing a little collision. I just watched Collision, so I thought I'd give a little preview, and so the Collision's off to. I think Collision the last 3 months has been AEW's best show. To be honest with you, Dynamite seems to have fallen a little bit. I mean, Rampage has gotten a little better, but I really like Collision. And then just a really good match up next as well. So the momentum kept going. Hello, Juan Santos, between Nick Wayne and Dalton Castle. Wasn't a total squash match. I would say this was like maybe 7 or 8 minutes. Um, Dalton Castle, I've met him at the Comedy Store. He's an interesting. He's doing an interesting character. It's almost like part Mr. Perfect, part Adrian Adonis when he was morphing into the gay themed character. He comes out with the boys who are like his. I don't know. They look like two guys who'd be around Liberace at the pool. Um, but he's a great wrestler, and I think he broke his back a while back, so he has to wear a very thick brace, and he's very good though. And him and Nick Wayne had good chemistry, a lot of back and forth, a little bit of offense was shown by um, Dalton Castle. So, like I said, it wasn't a total squash match, and then Luchasaurus double power slammed or choke slammed the boys outside. Dalton Castle was distracted by that. He turned around and Nick Wayne got him with his finisher. But a very good match. So two really good matches back to back on Collision that draws you in, and it's tough on Saturday night. I mean, AEW is definitely up against it on Saturdays. You got college football now. You've got hockey night in Canada. Not that that's going to take a tremendous amount of viewers away, the hockey, but um, and you've got basketball, and not in a couple weeks, but like I think in when the football playoffs start, like maybe a month or so, you're going to have playoff games on Saturday night. So I'm glad they're letting Collision, you know, build a little bit because once you have the NFL games on Saturday, college football, hockey, basketball, it's going to be tough ratings wise. And then the next, um, not match, but the next segment was like I said in the beginning, an Adam Hangman Page. I guess you'd call it a heel promo against Swerve Strickland for their Texas uh, death match coming up at Full Gear next Saturday. This Saturday, I can't wait for that. That's they have good chemistry. Obviously, Swerve Strickland took the first encounter, so I don't know if they're going to have Hangman win here and then do maybe a 2 out of 3. So um, we'll see. But I like those guys, two great in-ring performers in their prime. So um, Full Gear in terms of individual matches is going to be a good card um, when you think about it. Um, and then the next match, kind of a jobber match, but not so much with the La Faction Incorburnables. Roosh and Dralistico defeat the Workhorsemen, JD Drake and Anthony Henry. But the Workhorsemen got in some good moves early, and then slowly and slowly, the La Faction, I can't even say that last word, um, started to take over, and it was a good match for both. I mean, I think that the Workhorsemen, like I said, they're jobbers, but they're good jobbers, and JD Drake's very nimble for a guy his size, and Anthony Henry's very good as well. Um, and it helped build La Faction, um, and then kind of an interesting promo, House of Black. I love House of Black and their promos when they step out of the darkness and back into it. They challenge Ricky Starks and Big Bill at Full Gear, and then Julia Hart says if she beats Willow Nightingale tonight, she will get a rematch with Chris Statlander at Full Gear. So like I said, this collision has been different because it's really setting up storylines for this week. Don't forget there's 3 cards before Full Gear. There's Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. So I'm going to assume that you want guys and girls pretty fresh for the pay per view on Saturday night. So I'm assuming if there are going to be any hard matches, it's going to be Wednesday and Dynamite, so they have a few days to rest. I mean, I think the one good thing is they don't have to travel a lot this week. I mean, everything's in LA. But here's the crazy thing, and I don't know if you guys, I'm assuming the 7 people listening right now, whoa, I don't know what that was. I'm assuming the 7 people listening right now um, are not from Los Angeles. So the 10 freeway caught on fire Saturday night. And in the worst, not that there would be a good area for it to catch on fire, but in the worst spot, um, literally right where the 10 and the 110 interchange is in downtown. So, like, I was kind of thinking about going to Dynamite, which is in Ontario, but I was literally going to take the 10 to the 5, and I don't even know how to get to Ontario without doing that. So, I'll probably watch Dynamite at home now because the 10's awful freeway um, under the best of circumstances, but I mean, it's shut down. Like in my 55 years of living, I've never seen the 10 freeway shut down. So I'm going to assume though, if there are any hard matches, like physicality wise, they're going to happen on Dynamite. And then, I mean, they're in a tough spot because you just don't want to go through the motions on Rampage and Collision, especially. Because Rampage is kind of AEW's B show, so I could see them, having like someone who's not on Full Gear, like headline, like a Dalton Castle or whatever. What up? What up? I better get my energy drink so I can go on at least an hour with you kids. Like my Osprey track jacket. Oh, okay. You're in Austin. That's cool. I've been to Austin once to do stand up. It was all right, I guess. All right, now we're getting some comments kicking in. Whatever, Ross Incognito, Pooter, and Kate. Yes. No, I don't get sponsored by Rockstar. I just like the way this tastes. So we get back into it's going to be a big tag team bonanza for Full Gear. Uh, but I didn't like how this was set up um, because the House of Black was talking to La Faction, saying, if you want to go at us, we're going to have something you want, the tag team belts. But Bill and Ricky Starks weren't there. So, it didn't really make a lot of sense to go after La Faction. Or, I'm sorry, it didn't really make a lot of sense for them to go after Bill and Ricky Starks when they're not in the ring. They're saying to La Faction, we're going to go after Bill and Ricky Starks, and then we'll get to you guys. So it was like it's not how I would have written it. I would have had Bill and Ricky Starks in the ring. Thank you, green and black. It's very, I like this jacket. It's a very nice fit. It's a little snug, but the company's in the UK, and I knew that. So I was just scared to get an extra large because I thought it might be too big. Um, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not how I would have written the segment, but I think that um, at Full Gear, it's going to be basically not a trios match, but it's going to be a three-way match for the tag team belts. La Faction, Big Bill and Ricky Starks, and who else? Big Bill, Ricky Starks, La Faction, and the House of Black. But I felt bad because that kind of leaves out Buddy Matthews with nothing to do. So maybe he gets in a solo match. So this is where AEW's lack of writing kind of comes into play. The segment was a little off for me. Um, yes, I did. I was pretty impressive last night with my. Those were two 100-pound dumbbells. Those were not gimmicked. As much content as I can on YouTube. I don't care if it gets 12 views or 1,200 views. Now, obviously, I want everything to get thousands of views, but I'm playing catch up here on YouTube, so I'm just trying to provide you guys a lot of content. And I think I've picked up in the last week 300 subscribers. So that's a lot for me when you have 1,900 subscribers and then you pick up. No, I think I had like last week 1,600 around subscribers, and now I have close to 2,000. So I appreciate you guys who've subscribed and whatnot. I mean, it's just how the game is played. You get into the algorithm quicker with more subscribers, and even though I think that workout video I did last night, it only got like 30 or 40 views. Gets the name Earl Skakel out there a little more, and it's all a shell game, I guess. But the next match was Roderick Strong against Darius Martin. It's all right. I mean, pretty good match. I mean, you knew Roderick Strong was going to win, and then the Kingdom does their finishing move on Darius Martin after the match, where the one guy punches him in the dick, and then they pile drive him from off the top rope. I do like the Roderick Strong and the Kingdom's merch. I think the one guy's wearing a shirt that says "Hit him in the wiener" and then pile drive him. I don't think at 55 I could buy a wrestling shirt that said "Hit him in the wiener." Um, and then I love Roderick Strong's T-shirt. Adam. Um, I bet you did, Kate. If you go on YouTube, I don't know if it's a video or a short, but it's me doing a dumbbell bench press with 100-pound dumbbells, all natural. I will be getting more energy drinks um, for reviews, but I have to go to Vitamin Shop to get the ones I don't have. That's not a plug for Vitamin Shop, but they have like different energy drinks, whereas the gas station where I get this, they pretty much only have Red Bull and Rockstar and Celsius. So I want to do the Ric Flair energy drink review, but I think you have to mail order that one. I've just been too lazy. But I hope you enjoy it, Kate. The return of Big Earl. What up, William? Zoom. Thanks. I'm just trying to create content, you know, protein those don't do that well, to be honest with you. They get like 100 views, but you know, that's 100 more than I didn't have. I think once I crack the algorithm, you know, they'll get a couple hundred or thousand reviews or whatever. Um, then the cool thing is in terms of the reviews and stuff, then you get companies reaching out to you to do reviews for their drinks, and they send you free shit. Late night walks. Yeah, I'm gonna do some more late night walks. You know, I do one tonight, but I'm going to. I have to pick up my sister, my oldest sister, at the airport tomorrow. So I have to take yoga early tomorrow, and it's hard for me to do yoga early. I did a class tonight. It's brutal. I was, you know, I left the class depressed because everyone in the class was good but me. And nobody really cares, but still, I care. So it'd be interesting to see what they're doing with Roderick Strong and the Kingdom. I mean, there's some people who think that they are part of the Devil storyline. Um, you know, this one didn't really advance any storylines. You know, although at the end, Action Andretti came out to save Martin. You know, I don't know if I'm really down for you know, the Kingdom against Martin and Andretti. You know, I mean, maybe, you know, on the beginning of a pay-per-view, that would be good to get the crowd going, you know, maybe throw in AR Fox and another partner. I have 2 sisters, 2 brothers. I'm the baby. And it's not necessarily hot yoga. I think the room is at where I go is about 90 degrees, where, you know, when I used to go to Hot 8 yoga in Beverly Hills, it was 105. Bikram is 125. But I'll never forget the first time I took Hot 8 yoga. You know, I was going through a bad breakup. So I like, I don't want to go back to the gym. I want to try something I've never done before. And so I just literally looked up gyms by me. I said, "Oh, hot yoga. I've never done that. Guaranteed to sweat. Probably plenty of chicks there." And I go in. I was the last one to walk into class, and the teacher's like, "You've never done this before, have you?" I'm like, "Nah. To be honest with you, I haven't." And she's like, "Just stick with me." And she broke it down. You're going to want to leave after about 2 minutes because it'll be really hot in there. And about if you stick it out and you stay about 20 minutes in, you're going to feel like you're going to faint. And sure enough, after about 2 minutes, I was like, fuck, man, it's hot in here. I mean, I'm drenched and we're not even done like doing the warm up. Well, I said, "Fuck it, I can do 20 minutes." And then, 20 minutes, we were doing, the pyramid pose, which is where you put so your legs look like a kickstand. You put your right knee, say, on your left knee, and you just it's a balance pose. And I did it, and I really felt like I was gonna fall over and faint, and she came over and I forget exactly what she said, but she talked me through it, and I've been a fan of yoga ever since. It's very good mentally. Even tonight, like, I didn't have a good class because it was just hard for me. I felt good after going, "Hey, at least I could have sat home playing PlayStation." So, um, I did enjoy myself. And you lose like, I'm not trying to lose weight, but if you do yoga enough, because you're sweating out so much, water weight and waste, a side effect is you lose weight even if you don't want to. Back to Collision. You guys tuning in for wrestling talk are like, Earl, we don't care what you were doing in the Hot 8 yoga. Yeah, I'm not a fan of wrestling, even though I think Jeannie Buss owns it. And she now owns the Ice House, which I just performed at Friday. So maybe I should say I'm a fan of it, but I'm not. It's just not. I mean, you could tell there's some women in there who'll be in AEW and WWE, but I don't know. It's just not. I don't like it. And then Tony Khan is shown in a video package with Brian Danielson talking about All In 2024 and how Danielson will be in that. And then they talk about a Continental Classic tournament. And Danielson's announced as the first participant. And they break down the dates, and it starts November 22nd. So he must not be that injured. I guess the tournament is 12 wrestlers in the tournament. It lasts 6 weeks. Uh, it kind of sounds something a tournament format that New Japan would throw up, but we'll see. I mean, they haven't announced any participants outside of Brian Danielson, so maybe some New Japan guys will come over, Okada or Ibushi or uh, other guys. So have you? Let me see. But that's a 100%. Well, I suck it in too. I'm not going to lie. Well, I mean, I think PlayStation is good mentally. I was reading a book on creativity, and funny enough, the guy was saying that PlayStation will help if you're a creative, like a writer or musician or whatever. He recommends playing video games for like an hour a week because, like, if you're playing a shoot 'em up game or a sports game, especially if you do like the harder levels, um, it it forces your brain. It opens up these neural pathways that normally aren't used. Like I'm playing right now the MLB baseball game, and I don't really like it because the games just take too fucking long. I mean, like the hockey game, NHL 24. Uh, I think the periods are 6 minutes each, or they're 20 minutes each, but they go by 6 minutes because the clock is fast. So a game doesn't, a game and you could play a game of hockey maybe in about 12 minutes real time. Madden, I would say the game takes 15 to 20 minutes, no longer than 20 minutes. Um, but baseball takes about 40 minutes. Even at the quicken, you could cut down the highlights and all that stuff, and it's still a very. Um, but I do like they have a historical feature. I'm gonna try a new joke out. This is a reward for you guys tuning into chat, and maybe I could get. This is gonna be like Patreon, but it's free. Maybe I'll make you guys a deal. For those of you who are nice enough to come into the chat on these live streams, ask questions and whatnot, I'll do at least one new joke for you guys. It's an exclusive new joke till I hit the stage. But I wrote this joke last night playing baseball because in MLB 23, that one of the things I do like about it is they have a historical feature where you can go back in time. You can play old stadiums, like it's cool. You can play like you can have Shohei like I play with the Angels. and so it's neat to see Otani hit in the Polo Grounds, and or the Coliseum. Although I haven't played that, I do believe it's an option. And they have like old Yankee Stadium and I think Candlestick Park and whatnot. But they also have I haven't played it yet, but I was researching it where you can play in the Negro Leagues. And one of the things about the Negro Leagues, that you don't really realize is you only hear about Satchel Paige because he was so dominated. But they had their own Shohei Otani in the Negro Leagues. This guy Hilton something, I'm forgetting his name, where he could hit and pitch. He was probably the best pitcher outside of Satchel Paige, and he was the best hitter. So the only difference between him and Shohei Otani is about 8 inches. Hello. I mean, it's not like the greatest joke, but it's a work in progress. So, and there's something there. I could really go, uh, deep dive into it. Um, Plus, it's really cool. I can say the word Negro like 7 times in a joke. Boing. Uh, so, this could be the place to try out new material. I don't know. Because frankly, even though we don't know each other in chat in terms of like, I don't know much about you guys in chat, you guys are my fans. So you guys are going to be who I hope to do stand up pew, pew, in front of one day. So I hope you like that joke. It's a work in progress. Think of that as a demo, if you will. Um, Now I can't do the dirtier jokes on YouTube because I am still new to YouTube live streams, and I hear that they are very critical of some language that you use, and they will strike your channel or ban you from streaming. So you'll get the clean version of my jokes, and then you got to see me live to get the dirty version. And I don't necessarily mean dirty in terms of language, but you know, you got to come see me live. By the way, this weekend I was at the Ice House on Friday night, had a great set. It is a little unnerving there because the security in the back of the room has a gun. He's licensed to carry. And I was getting heckled by this animal up front. And, I had it under control. I never at any time felt like I needed to get him kicked out. But, this guy, you can tell he's like a bodyguard and whatever else he does on the side. And he was heading over there to tell this guy basically shut the fuck up or get out. And, I had to uh, tell him I got it, dude. I mean, he was on my side, but like, this guy was pretty drunk. And let's just say I think he was under the influence of the yayo. So, I didn't want him to lunge at the guy with a gun or something. Um, but the Ice House, very nice club. Like I said a few minutes ago, the Bus family owns it now. They have remodeled it, and it's completely different. If you've ever been to the Ice House, you will not recognize it. And they're sorting through some kinks, but hey, it's another nice club to perform at. And then Saturday night, I got to go on at the Comedy Store. My 12:15 spot was at 1 a.m. because 99% of the comics ran the fucking light, but I still did an hour. I don't give a fuck. So the next match was Julia Hart, my new favorite female wrestler. Crazy, she's only 22 and so good. I mean, in a couple years, she's going to be unstoppable. You can tell she embraces the bad woman, the heel role, and she came out with the big man, the big tattooed man, and I really Brody King. I really like him, and they were Willow Nightingale was her opponent, and it was kind of funny that Willow Nightingale was doing Brody King, woof, woof, woof. They were kind of doing it back and forth. A little bit of humor in the match, but a very good match, back and forth. I would say it was about 7 to 8 minutes before Julia Hart hit her moonsault finisher, um, and it sets up the match between Julia Hart and Statlander at Full Gear. No, no, I have not met Dewdrop yet. Um, so that's a good, very good match. I mean, Full Gear is a good card. And then backstage segment with Lexi Nair, Big Bill's fiance. I don't know if a lot of people know that, with Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Um, they were like, no one's getting a shot at their titles. Um, and so there's a little promo on that, and then Lexi says, "Well, there's going to be a four-way match at Full Gear for the tag team titles. So I think it's FTR, Roosh, and Dralistico, Big Bill, and Ricky Starks, and House of Black." Um, but I'm a little disappointed because I don't think I mean, I'm sure Buddy Matthews will walk out with them, but he's good, man. Like, there were some people a couple of years ago who were comparing Buddy Matthews to be like a slightly younger, bigger version of Kenny Omega. So I hope in the new year and going out of 2023 that we see more of Buddy Matthews. Um, I always thought that there might be a turn on him because he's the only one in House of Black with no tattoos. I mean, I don't know if Julia Hart has tattoos, but of the men between Malachi Black and Buddy King, or Buddy Matthews and Brody King, that Buddy has no tattoos. So the next segment, first of all, Paul White comes out to join the announcing table, and I really like Nigel McGuinness, dude. He's a funny heel commentator. He's kind of a cross between Jesse Ventura and Bobby Heenan in terms of the things he says. And him and Shivani have a good um, chemistry. So Paul White comes out. Uh, Powerhouse Hobbs just decimates some jobber, and then Don Callis comes into the ring with Kyle Fletcher, and he cuts a promo on Big Show. All three of them step out, and there's like a little heel roast battle against Paul White. And Paul White gets up, and Powerhouse Hobbs steps back, says, "Do something, do something." So it's kind of setting up the Full Gear moment, because if you have not um, seen what's going on there, you have a four-way match with Paul White, um, Edge, Sting, and Darby Allin against Powerhouse Hobbs, Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, and Brian Cage, the Gates of Agony. I'm assuming Mark Davis must still be injured. He's Kyle Fletcher's partner from United Empire, because they have good chemistry, so it doesn't really make much sense to break them up. But it will be interesting. I don't like the street fight idea, because I just no, no. You know what? I made a mistake. I stand corrected. I stand corrected. I'm getting my matches confused. The four-way um, is who is it? I'm confused here. It's on it. let me see here. I'm getting my matches confused. It's Omega, Jericho, Ibushi, and Paul White against Hobbs, Fletcher, Cage. Um, so, yeah, I'm sorry. It's late. Yoga wiped me out. So, because Sting, Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Paul White will be facing off against the Callis family. Um, sorry, we got the reuniting of the Golden Lovers, Omega and Ibushi, Jericho and Paul White against the Don Callis family. Takeshita, Hobbs, and the other two big boys. So, but I don't like the street fight stuff. I just, I don't know. I don't like it. Now the Sting, Darby Allin, um, Adam Copeland, they are going up against Christian, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. So sorry about that. That's why I needed to drink the energy drink, man. Um, and then you have Lexi Nair's backstage. One more match before, or one more promo before the main event. You've got Lexi Nair backstage with FTR, and they announced their four-way, their entrance into the four-way tag team match, the title match at Full Gear. And basic FTR promo. I mean, they don't really have a lot of um, very variance in their promos, but that will be a wild four-way tag match. All good tag teams. And then the main event on Collision was Sting, Darby Allin, Edge against Lance Archer and the Righteous. Um, Good match. I was a little worried how Sting would do with two of the three opponents being really big dudes. They're all going to protect Sting, but still, the big guy from the Righteous is he's a fucking big dude, man. He's like big boss man size, and Lance Archer's a big dude. Um, and But it was a good match. I mean, I don't. It just this Lance Archer Righteous pairing. I do like it, but it seems like it was just kind of thrown in there at the last second, right before Full Gear. Um, but a very good match. I mean, everyone got in their offense. Um, Vincent is the big guy's name, and so it's it. What I hate with these matches is you knew that Sting and Edge and Darby Allin weren't going to lose this match. So, you still like to believe the other team could win. But there's no way you're going to have those guys lose right before Full Gear. So the match was about as good as it could be. Um, given that you knew uh, what was going to be a win for one team over the other. I mean, there were some cool. I mean, things I did like about this match. I believe this is the first time Sting and Edge. I'm sorry, I can't call him Adam Copeland. I've been in the ring together, like in a match. So what it was kind of like cool, and it was kind of cool to see Lance Archer and Sting working together. They kind of did a woo off before the main started the physical action. Um, so I don't know if it did a lot to advance the storyline, but Christian, Nick Wayne, and Luchasaurus came out, stood at the top of the ramp. I probably would have had it where it was a beatdown, um, 6 on 3, and then like this is what I would have done, and it might not have made a ton of sense, but so you have the Righteous and Lance Archer. They come up from behind after, uh, you know, S- Sting, Edge, and Allen are taking a victory lap. They start beating the shit out of them. Then all of a sudden, you see, Christian, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne come join the beatdown, and then the lights go out, and you just see the devil at the top of the ramp. Kind of a random inclusion into that feud, but it also, I think, will throw off the scent of, "Hey, who's the devil? Now he's coming and getting involved in this?" Because I think, and I have loved the devil storyline, um, but it's the way they've done it is everyone thinks it's either Britt Baker or Adam Cole. Now, I've looked at um, a lot of still shots of the devil and the various, the Jay White um, beatdown, and then last week with the acclaimed beatdown, um, and they've done a good job at kind of hiding the devil's body type, but there have been a few shots where you can tell that whoever the devil um, is slender up top, so it's not like a giant. Um, and so most people, I think, have thought, "Oh, it's a woman." Um, so it's got to be Britt Baker, or it could be Adam Cole because he's not the biggest guy up top. I mean, Adam Cole is probably like my size up top, so I don't look gigantic in this, so it could be him. But and I almost don't want to say this because I don't want to ruin it. I have no inside knowledge, even though I have friends in AEW. They're all really good about keeping secrets. Um, yeah, I will say that Darby Allen Kate will. I would love to see him at 40 years old. I don't know how old he is. I'll assume early 30s. But his body, I mean, there was a move where Lance Archer picked him up and threw him like a backdrop, but like a moving backdrop. And he just landed right on his spine, man. And he got up right away. Like, because I remember watching Sting, if you want to like a glimpse into Darby Allin's future, just look at Sting. I mean, if you look at Surfer Sting and certainly early clips of Crow Sting, um, he was pretty nimble. And now, obviously he's 64 and Darby's got a long way to go before 64 years. But like now you see Sting is, kind of cautious in how he moves. Um, but I don't even think Sting in his prime took the bumps Darby's taken. But hopefully he, I don't know, maybe takes hot yoga and gets through it. But let's go through the full gear card for the AEW World. Now I don't know the order of these things, but at 0 hour you've got MJF and a mystery tag partner against the Guns for the Ring of Honor World Championship. You've got Orange Cassidy and John Moxley. Um, So that should be good. And then you've got the trios match: Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, Nick Wayne against Adam Copeland, aka Edge, Darby Allen, and Sting. You've got MJF and Jay White for the Full Gear title, and then you've got the tag match: Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho against who was it? And Ibushi and Paul White against the Don Callis faction. You've got Adam Hangman Page against Swerve Strickland in a Texas Death Match. And then you've got the Women's TBS Championship, Julia Hart, Chris Statlander, and the winner of Sky Blue and Red Velvet. So, it's going to be interesting to see Omega and Jericho against the Bucks. That's kind of a very interesting match. Let me see. I'm just going to look up something real fast here. It's unprofessional for me to look up something. Um, but, I'm a one man operation. I mean, that's interesting, Kate. Very interesting. Let me see. Fogger. In terms of Samoa Joe, I mean, there's nothing for Samoa Joe to do on this card right now, so there's nothing for Wardlow to do on this card. And they were kind of a team at one point, so that could be interesting to see. MJF and Wardlow. Um, so all right, let's get to the full. I think I announced the full card. Yes, Kenny Omega and Jericho versus the Young Bucks. We've got, I'm trying to think if I missed anything. We've got Hikaru Shida versus Timeless Tony Storm as well. Um, so it's two good women's matches. And then, I think AEW, they always throw these wild matches. Like, it'll be interesting to see what they do on Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage if they throw in another match. So as of now, we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches. That's counting the Zero Dark. Um, so 8 matches on the main card. I mean, that's a semi-long card. Um, the ones that interest me the most, I would say, what up, Lambda, Lambda, Lambda? You're late to the party, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Um, I'm into, I've always thought, I think I said this on the Comedy Store Wrestling podcast a long, long time ago, that I could see a Young Bucks swerve on Kenny Omega. Um, but, I don't know how this match is going to play out. They did a good promo last week where the Bucks clearly have tension with Chris Jericho. I somehow get the feeling that Jericho is going to turn on Omega. I don't know. I mean, it would be cool to see Jericho and the Bucks. That opens up the door for a full Golden Lovers reunion with Ibushi. I still don't think people in America really appreciate how cool it is to see Omega and Ibushi. Um, but hopefully, that's the one thing I think AEW could do better is you don't have to apologize to. AEW could do better. It's like when Jay White debuted, like no one really knew who he was. Like, AEW, I think their problem is they cater to super marks, and like I'm a pretty big wrestling fan, but I didn't really know who Jay White was because I don't watch a lot of New Japan. And I didn't really know who Will Ospreay was. Now I'm wearing his hoodie. Um, I didn't know who Ibushi was, and my friend was like, "Oh my God, the Golden Lovers are back!" I'm like, "Who the fuck is that?" They said, "Oh, it's Omega and Ibushi. They were like a big deal," and so I had to, research and whatnot. So I'm not saying they need to do like a 30-minute documentary, but like I do think that you know it is cool these New Japan guys come over here: Okada, Ibushi, Ishii, and some of the Takeshita, it's pretty impressive. Um, so once again, a shout out to Chris Jericho for wrestling Takeshita in Japan yesterday. I'm assuming he's going to wrestle at least on Wednesday night, rest for a few days till Collision. So it's going to be a very interesting. There's potential for some good plot twist. What happens with Cage and Christian. AEW seems to have this haphazard writing. So maybe this is where they join forces. Maybe Edge turns on Sting and Darby, because then you could set up a Christian and Edge. Maybe Sting's last match at Revolution in 2024 is against Sting, or is against Edge and Christian. Be a good match. It'd be kind of cool. I think both Edge and Christian have said that Sting was the reason they wanted to be wrestlers. So might be a good way to send Sting out. Sting and Darby against those two at Revolution. Um, and then, Nick Wayne, I don't know. I mean, I don't know where they go with him and Luchasaurus, but we'll see. I mean, and, now, and the big thing is, and I don't know if they are going to do this at Full Gear, but reveal who the devil is. Um, there's many, many theories on who it is. Most people think it's either Adam Cole or Britt Baker. Some people really going for a long shot. I think it's CM Punk. It's all good, dude. You don't have to worry about missing it. You can always just hit play and watch it. Um, I mean, that would be a nice pop if it was CM Punk. Some people think it's Jack Perry, because it's also going to be a double reveal. Um, you have to think, okay, the devil takes off the mask, and it's whoever it is. But then the other, his helpers are gonna, I'm assuming, unmask as well. Now, I did notice this. Hit that like button; it does help. Oh, well, there's 7 people listening and 7 likes, so everyone's done their job. Not that it's your job, but everyone has helped Earl tonight. Um, I did notice. Well, here's what I do like about the hiding of the identities of the devil and his crew. Like the first group that attacked Jay White seemed to be a lot skinnier, a lot more slender in build. And then last week, they all seemed to be a bit bigger, especially the one who threw Bowens through the glass window. That guy was pretty jacked. So I would think that possibly could be Mustafa Ali. I don't know what his and Dolph Ziggler's non-compete clause is when they can come in. I mean, I do think it would be a perfect way to debut Ziggler as the devil. That would be a gigantic pop. But based on the body type, here's my wild card choice for who the devil is. Because they've been now, I don't know what the long term implications of this would be, but it'd be a big pop if the devil were Danhausen. And I haven't heard that theory yet. And I'm sure someone else also has it on Twitter or whatever, but that'd be a big pop. And then I think, when you look at some guys who could debut, obviously Ali, Dolph Ziggler, if their non-compete clause is up or if they even had one in the first place. Because I don't know if it's different, when a wrestler leaves a company and when he gets released. I don't know if he gets released if the non-compete clauses hold up. Now if he leaves the company, I think there's like usually a 90-day, you can't go to the other company. But when you're released, it might be different. Um, well, I've noticed, Kate, that the last couple weeks they've been doing these very quick promos about evil Danhausen. And listen, let's be honest with you. Like he could just be the manager of this faction. He wouldn't even have to wrestle um, because he's still, I think, the number one merchandise at Pro Wrestling Tees, AEW.com. So he's set. Like he almost does. I'm sure he wants to wrestle because he's a wrestler, but he'd be great as a manager. Like he could lead the group, and then maybe get in the ring from time to time. But I'm interested to see almost as much as to who the devil is as who the helpers are. I've heard Kyle O'Reilly's name. He's been out for a while, so that would be good. He's very good. I think people forget how good he is. So that would be fun to see him back. Uh, I'm trying to think who else has not been in AEW for a minute. I mean, I don't think any of them are Wardlow, just because you would have seen that body through the even through the disguise. Uh, I mean, they're all kind of slender build except for the one who threw bones through the glass. So at least one of them's a big dude. Uh, so I'm trying to think who else has been on the shelf for a bit. Uh, yeah, I can't. No names come to mind, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be. I think Kate. They have set up Danhausen for a return. And the fact that they're really emphasizing it's gonna be evil Danhausen. Now it doesn't really make sense from the standpoint of, he had no beef with Jay White. He had no beef with the Acclaimed. Uh, I don't know if they would do an MJF Danhausen program. I don't know if they would do, an Adam Cole Danhausen program. So it's weird that you would make Danhausen the centerpiece and whatever feud is going to be coming with this group. I mean, clearly it's a new faction. Um, uh, and it's three or four guys. I'm assuming guys. I mean, if it's Britt Baker, it'll be her and um, three dudes. And so Kyle O'Reilly would fit into that, where he's not a jobber, but he's not a main eventer. Um, he's like the perfect bodyguard. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is interesting. I mean, people are talking about it, like, who's the devil? Who are the helpers? So it's been very well written, and they've, like I said, I mean, I don't know if I'm imagining things, but it just did seem like the first group of workers were much smaller than the group from last week. So that's kind of throwing me off. Um, but Danhausen is, I've got to believe he's fully healthy. I think he messed up his shoulder, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a good time in AEW. I mean, I think Full Gear will be a really good pay per view. And there'll be some debuts, there'll be some surprises, there'll be some re-debuts. In terms of who I think is going to win, let me give you my predictions. MJF and his mystery partner. It is interesting. I think. I mean, I don't think MJF's going to lose on a card. He's also in the main one of the main events. Jay White. And I do like the Guns. They are perfect to give the Ring of Honor tag titles to. They'd be perfect for that. Um, oh boy, I mean, you could do it where Samoa Joe's the tag team partner and he turns on MJF and the Guns win. I could see something like that. So I'm going to say MJF is going to lose with whoever his tag team partner is to the Guns. I think MJF will be victorious over Jay White, although it'll be a great match. Um, I think Tony Storm will win. I mean, they're really promoting her, so I would be shocked if she lost in this pay per view. I think I think Sting. Ooh, this is a tough one because Sting can lose, Darby Allin could lose. Their characters aren't really harmed, but I don't know if I would have Adam Copeland lose his I don't know if I would have him lose this early in his AEW career. So I'm going to go Sting, Darby Allin, and Adam Copeland win. I think it'll be a real clusterfuck finish, and it will set up something. Whether it's Adam Copeland heel turn against Sting and Darby, and then Christian reunite. Then I mean that would be cool. But then I don't know what that does with Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne. So the writers are going to earn their money on this one in terms of the finish. Orange Cassidy and John Moxley. This one's tough because both guys have been on TV a lot. So I think one of them would benefit from maybe not being on TV as much. Um, I'm going to go Orange Cassidy here. Also, Hangman Page and Swerve. I don't think you benefit by having Hangman lose twice to Swerve. So I'm going to say Hangman wins. Maybe sets up a third rubber match. Omega and Jericho versus the Young Bucks. It's a tough one because I'm sensing, I don't like how they've handled Omega on pay-per-views. They've had him lose a lot. I don't like that. I mean, I don't know here. I mean, this is a tough one. I mean, I'm an Omega fan, so I want him to win. But Omega and the Bucks, they're the elite. So maybe they turn on Jericho. I don't know. I mean, this is a tough one, man. I could see either side winning. I mean, luckily, all four, you're not going to hurt them. If whoever loses, they're not going to be hurt by the loss. But since I have to predict, I'm going to go with the Young Bucks. 'Cause I think this will set up something between Omega and Jericho. Something. And then Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart versus Red Velvet or Sky Blue. I mean, Sky Blue is I'm going to assume it's going to be Sky Blue. I mean, they've really pushed her on TV a lot. Doesn't really make sense for Red Velvet to go over Sky Blue, this soon into her return. So let's say it's Chris Statlander, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue. I'm going to say Julia Hart because they've really pushed her. So I don't think a loss on a big pay per view helps her. Only a win helps her. And Statlander and Sky Blue, they're not going to be hurt by a loss. I think Julia Hart would be hurt by a loss. Not devastatingly hurt, but like, so I go with Julia Hart. And then the big four-way tag match, we got Ricky Starks, Big Bill versus La Fascion, Rush and Dralistico, FTR, and the Kings of the Black Throne, Brody King and Malachi Black. I'm assuming Buddy Matthews will be at ringside. And I'm going to say Buddy Matthews will have some kind of interference that wins it for Kings of the Black Throne. So it's a big night, in my opinion, for King's House of Black because I think Julia Hart and um, House of Black will win. And I think we'll see some surprises. So there'll definitely be at least one debut. I'm rooting for Ziggler. He's his hometown's Cleveland, but he does, I believe, live in Los Angeles. And I have noticed a lot of comedy shows coming up in the LA area for Dolph and his brother Ryan. So I could. I mean, once again, though, I wish because he was released by WWE. I'm probably wrong, but I want to say um, he can show up whenever he wants. Yeah, I mean, Kate Moxley could absolutely win, but I don't think they would have Cassidy lose to him twice in a row. But Cassidy's character is so rock solid that you could have him lose twice in a row. He's still going to be a fan favorite. And I think I'm assuming Claudio and Wheeler Yuta will come out with Moxley. I mean, I think there'll be a lot of guys and girls who aren't on the card will be at ringside, like Buddy Matthews and Claudio and Yuta, and um, I think the Big Show. He's going to be his presence will be um, known, uh, and so I think that, and plus we, like I said, we have three cards this week. We have a Dynamite from Ontario, California Wednesday. We have a Rampage and Collision. Now, typically they don't use Rampage to set up pay-per-views, but because we are in Los Angeles, and like I said, this is was it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So in 4 days, we'll have four AEW cards. So it'll be interesting, the attendance, because it's a lot of money to go to these things. I mean, I looked up tickets in the camera section, um, and they're like $200 to $500. So you got to pick. Well, do I want to spend that for Dynamite? Do I want to spend that on the, like me personally? I want to spend it on the pay per view. I don't know if I would spend $200 to $500 to watch Rampage and Collision, but I do believe Collision will set up a lot of good stuff for Saturday night. So it's four cards in the same area. I think will affect the attendance of the pay per view, or it will affect like the Friday night shows, because people are going to be like, I'm going to spend my money on the pay per view, not Rampage and Collision. And Dynamite, unfortunately, is so far out of the way for most people in the LA area. And like I said, if you just are tuning in, the 10 freeway right at the 110 and 10 interchange is shut down. So I mean that, like, I was going to go to Dynamite because I like the Ontario arena, but my God, it's I mean, the traffic was going to be bad anyway. But if you've seen the news reports out of LA, um, for those of you who aren't in LA, like, I guess Google or look up on YouTube 10 freeway fire. I mean, it's the surrounding side streets now are insane. And my one buddy was like, just take the 101 to the 5, but like that, everyone's going to be doing that now. And the scary thing is the 10 freeway will be, I mean, I saw the highlights tonight of the fire, and I think they said, of course, Gavin Newsom said this, our governor, so who the hell knows what's going on, but I think he said 100 freeway columns were damaged and 10 severely. And they showed like one of them, and that the fire had burnt through the cement and into the inner coil. Like you could see the inside of the column. And, I think they say on the 10 freeway going both ways, 300,000 cars a day take that part of the freeway, and that's a lot of weight. So there's no way they can risk it by, oh, we'll just put some extra cement on the columns. So it's going to be a complete nightmare. And if they have to tear down that part and build it, I mean, that will affect everything in that area. I mean, when I go to crypto.com arena to see the Kings play, I usually would just shoot down Olympic because it's a straight shot, and that's going to be used by everyone trying to get back on the 5 at some point. So, um, going to be an interesting week in terms of how people navigate the freeway. Luckily, the Forum, which is where Rampage, Collision, and the pay per view are, you don't have to, you know, go near that part of the LA freeways. Like I live in West Hollywood, so when I go to the Forum, I take the 405. I mean, I can take the 10 west to the 405, but I don't think that part of the 10 west will be affected because the fire was about, let's say, 7 to 10 miles east. So I'm lucky in that regard. But yeah, I mean, it's Raw said it's very much like that. And like I said, they showed the main chunk of where the fire was. Um, like, there's definitely a dip a little bit. Um, and with 300,000 cars a day, like, they just can't risk it. But, unfortunately, the side streets around the 10 are going to be jam packed for months, maybe even a year. I mean, I don't know how, yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, I feel bad for the businesses, that are around the burn area, like gas stations. No one's going to go there to go get gas. They're going to avoid that area like the plague. Liquor stores and you know businesses like dry cleaners that the locals use. Like unless you can walk to the dry cleaners, you're not going to take your clothes. I mean, they said right now today it took an hour to go 3 city blocks. But you got to understand, man, it's 300,000 cars now taking side streets in addition to probably, I don't want to say another 100,000 cars who took side streets anyway, but you've got probably about 400,000 cars now taking side streets to get back on the freeway. So it's just, my God, I never do this, but if you don't got to be around that area, don't. Yeah, it's a clusterfuck of epic proportions. And the sad thing is they say it was arson. So this one person or persons who did this have literally this will cost the city billions to repair. Billions in lost revenue to the local businesses and gas stations and markets and other restaurants. They said the food truck that was by that intersection, or it's not an intersection, but by that area of the freeway, because it's right off the freeway. They say on average would get 2 to 300 people a day, customers. And they interviewed the guy just now in the local news, and he said he had 15 customers all day. So that's a really good look into like the damage economically that this will cause, and even to further places like I said. I mean, I would have spent, I don't know how much I would have spent to go to Ontario in terms of a ticket, but let's say $200 to go to Ontario to sit close, and I'm sure parking at Ontario is like $20 or whatever. So, the city of Ontario, which is an hour away from this, is not getting $220 from me and probably many others who are just going to be like, I'm not battling that shit. Because you have to understand. So, you can imagine, like, I mean, well, no one's going to Angel games right now, but and I don't even know if I would go to King games right now because that's exactly the route I would take. If not Olympic, I would take the 10 and get off on like Figueroa, and fuck that. You imagine that on a Saturday night? I mean, it's traffic already. So it's just wild to, I guess you'd call it the economic butterfly effect of one little ripple is now going to cost a city of Ontario probably hundreds of thousands of dollars just on you know uh, Wednesday night from all the LA people who wanted to go to Dynamite are like, I'm good. I'll just watch it on TV. And that affects the concession stands, and like it's crazy like how one event can affect so many people so far away. Um, Even people who want to go to Disneyland. If I want to go to Disneyland, I'd take that route. The 10 to the 5. I don't want to get too local for you guys in chat. I'm sure you don't know where like what I'm talking about, but just so you like, just to paint the picture before I go is for people on the west side of LA, so Santa Monica, Century City, Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, even Hollywood. If you want to go to downtown, you have to take the 10 or the 101. Um, and then, or if you want to take surface streets, you have to take Olympic, Pico, Wilshire, and everyone's going to be on these streets now. So, like, yeah, it really is. I think I saw Snake Plissken and Fresno Bob. That's a real deep reference for you, Escape from New York freaks on the 10 freeway last night. So, yeah, but it's going to be a fun week I think there'll be a lot of live streams this week. I'll do one for Dynamite. I'll do I guess a 2-for-1 Rampage and Collision stream, and I'll definitely do one for Full Gear. And who knows, I might do just another late night one because I'm sure a lot of people aren't, uh, I mean, I love wrestling. I know you guys in chat love it, but I'm sure a lot of not a lot, but a fair number of my fans probably really aren't into wrestling that much. So they're like, all right, dude, enough talk. Talk about comedy or something. Buy a better camera, hobo. You talking to me? Like, cool, but you don't like this camera? Cool boy, you're new to chat. How dare you come at me like this? This is an iMac camera, bro. It's not going to get any better. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could do this off my iPhone, which is the newest iPhone, but like my vision's so bad that doing it on the iMac really helps me because I could read the chat. I'm not going to lie to you, cool boy, and I'll guess I have more money than you anyway. Shit, do something, dude. All right, now we have our first troll in chat. I was going to leave, but I'll engage with this guy. Cool boy. You're not being very cool right now. We got Nick the Knee. Yeah, cool boy isn't cool. Nick, I need call off the dogs. This cool boy is attacking me. I'm just kidding, cool boy. Listen, if you don't like it, then don't listen. Um, and I'm hardly a hobo, but you must be new to my world. But Earl, I have a question, but maybe this is not the time or place. Just ask it. I don't mind Santos. You look like a hobo. I mean, how did I look like a hobo? I'm clean shaven. My hair is freshly washed. I've got a $100 hoodie on. That sign was $500. That painting was a couple $100. Got a brand new iPad. Got a Steve Stevens ray gun. I'm going to shoot you with this hobo. Hobo is roasting me. This is out of control, but I don't roast people I don't know online. Um, Not even Carlito would think this guy is cool. Sell the sign and buy a decent camera, dog. Well, I tell you what, cool boy, if my camera is so egregious to you, my PayPal is eskakel@aol.com. Send me $1,000 and I'll buy a new camera, brother. What's your thoughts on the Dead Kennedys? Do you like the music? Have you ever met Jello Biafra? That's not a bad question. We can branch out into. Uh, Hold on, man. My TV just turned on. Hold on, Hobo. Come up with some new lines. Sorry. Um, I don't listen to the Dead Kennedys. I'm not against them. I'm a metalhead. 80s metal. Um, well, I mean, Cool Boy. Here's the thing. Like, yes, I do wear. Cool Boy. I usually don't engage with trolls online. If you want to roast me, what I make anyone who wants to troll me an offer. Come to the Comedy Store any night I'm there. I'll get you in for free. I'll sit you at a nice table. I'll give you free drinks, and then after the show, you can come back in the green room. It's usually just me there, and you can say anything you want to my face. Now, I don't make you this offer to fight you, but I find that once people are asked to do something face to face, their balls shrivel up to the size of chickpeas. Not saying you would, cool boy, but well, all right, be there, cool boy. And I really mean this. Uh, and you're a man of your word. My PayPal is eskakel@aol.com. So let's see if you got the stones to follow through with sending me money. And here's the best thing, I don't need your money. I just want to see if you send me some. I don't know if you've had personal issues with that band, considering your family. Uh, Oh, no, no, I don't it's not, because I'm related to the Kennedys that I don't like the Dead Kennedys. I don't like that kind of music. I'm Bon Jovi, Rat, Poison, Quiet Riot, Jake E. Lee, Randy Rhoads, Kiss. Well, no, I mean, but I do make that offer. Like someone asked me the other day, would I roast battle on Zoom? I think it was someone from the Dabbleverse world, Ski Mask. That guy, Ski Mask. And I'm friends with him, but it's like, no, if someone wants to roast battle me, it's not that difficult. I'll walk you upstairs to the roast battle on Tuesday night in the belly room. I will whisper into Brian Moses' ear, I've got a fan who wants to roast me. I won't prepare one joke. You can write for months, and I'll do it all improv. And I bet you'll run off the stage in 1 minute when you realize, oh, I have to say it to his face now. But cool boy, welcome aboard. Hey, a listener's a listener. And cool boy, since you're kind of being a dick, can you hit the like button? At least give me that. Um, see, see, when you're nice to trolls, it really disarms them. Because I'm sure cool boy wants me to talk shit about him and or me to get mad, and like when you don't, that's all they have. I'm happy in life, so I probably talked to cool boy almost too much already because I've given him the attention that he wants. I'm to he. Well, he said he had big balls, so there you go. I mean, if it's a woman, I mean, listen, it's possible for a woman to have big balls. It's a new era. But, cool boy, it's an open invite. Just DM me on Instagram at Earl Skakel. I'll set you up with the tickets. And then the next time I'm there, specifically if it's in the main room, you can. Oh, you're not. Oh, I mean, I don't know where you're located, cool boy. I'm certainly not buying. If you have so much money, cool boy, buy your own ticket, brother. Uh, so I thought you were going to send me PayPal. Yeah, here's what I love about you, cool boy. You said you're going to send me money on PayPal. Now you're asking me to buy your plane ticket. What the fuck? It's out of control. But I love trolls. I want more of them. It just helps me get to the 4,000 hours quicker. Um, but getting back to your question, Santos, I guess the Dead Kennedys would be classified as punk, and there's very few punk bands I like. I mean, I like one song by the Circle Jerks. I mean, I don't think the Plimsouls were ever considered punk, but they were like a round club. They should have been bigger than they were. Um, and then, I mean, Motorhead, oddly enough, was thrash, but they were almost punk thrash with their attitude of, uh, not giving a fuck. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he is. I mean, just because I don't like a certain band or certain genre of music, I still give that band and the singer and whatnot, respect. Like I don't like the blues, but Stevie Ray Vaughan's one of the great guitar players of all time. Yeah, I mean the Plimsouls, William, were in that kind of they weren't the Cars, but they weren't like Fear either. They were kind of I guess you would say they were maybe like like a deadpan version of the Cars, maybe. Um, because the Cars initially had like a pop punk vibe in the vein of like Billy Idol, early Billy Idol, Generation X, and then they kind of got a little poppier, because the Tubes had a kind of a punk vibe, not in terms of like Mohawk and stuff, but just their, like they would do full concerts in the nude, like you talk about um, not giving a fuck. Like the Tubes were like out of control. And the funny thing is, I see the singer Fee Waybill. once or twice a week at the dog park, and he's the nicest guy. And like he kind of looks the same, a little older, but he's got to be. If I'm 55, he's in his mid 60s or whatever. So he looks really good, and he's so nice. Every time I'm like, "Hey man, can I get a picture with you?" He's like, "Yeah, young man, let's do it." Um, Henry Rollins started out Punk, then went to Raw. Yeah, Henry Rollins was Punk. Here's the crazy. I don't have a Henry Rollins story per se, but when I was living in Century City, one of the guys who used to live in that building I always talked about was Dennis Cole. Now, Dennis Cole was a '70s actor, usually a bad guy on like Cannon or Mannix or Barnaby Jones, or I think he was a bad guy in one of my favorite episodes of Vegas. And uh, this was in the let me see, late '80s. I lived in this building, and he lived there, and he was like a really good-looking older guy. So I'd always see him at nightclubs chasing pussy, and he would get it too. He didn't really have to chase it. I had to chase it. He just had to just sit there and stare at you. But his son was murdered in Henry Rollins' apartment in Venice, and they never found who did it, and it haunted him for the rest of his life. He would always talk about his son with me. Um, and he kind of quit acting to become a not a reformist, but victim's advocate. So, yeah, the guy that dated Jacqueline Smith, he was married to Jacqueline Smith for like 2 years, I think. And then I think they had a son. And that was the son that was murdered in Henry Rollins' apartment. They say it was like a gang thing, and they never found out who did it. It's still a cold case. Um, and I don't know if they were roommates or if he was just randomly at Henry Rollins' house. But yeah, Henry Rollins has an interesting musical. He almost got too big to be Punk. Like Punk, like that's one of the great things about the Plimsouls is that they never got that big, so they could kind of keep their vibe of being like like they used to, that scene in Valley Girl where they're playing. I think it was called the Union at the time. It's actually on my street. It's the what became the Viper Room. And that was probably their biggest hit, "A Million Miles Away," probably due to that movie. But, unlike the Tubes, it didn't blow up because I don't necessarily think the Plimsouls were the best looking group, in terms of physical looks, and the Tubes were kind of an interesting looking, band. Fee Waybill was a very enigmatic frontman, and, the drummer, Prairie Prince, was, the Suits, and, Vince Welnick, who later played for the Grateful Dead before he committed Harry Carey. He was kind of a taller, good-looking guy. So they were, the Tubes kind of sold out a little bit, but She's a Beauty was such a big hit. I don't think they could go back to being punk. Um, they just got too big, which is almost not too bad, but because I think they really leaned more towards the punk side than the power pop uh, that She's a Beauty, and a little bit less, but Talk to You Later was kind of a big hit for them. Um, yeah, it's tough, when you look at the Plimsouls, like obviously you get to have a song on the soundtrack that was a major hit back then, and it's kind of like the Tubes with She's a Beauty. A lot of people will say that She's a Beauty almost ruined the Tubes because that song is still played today. What is that? 40 years later. I mean, literally, I think it came out in '83, so literally 40 years later, that song is in decent rotation still, um, and it's very popular on Spotify. And so is Talk to You Later, although to a lesser degree. And like the Plimsouls were like they're kind of like the Rocky Balboa of music bands of the LA bands. They were not an overnight success, but most people had never heard of them, and then they see them in Valley Girl and go, "Oh my god, this band's great. Who are these guys?" Um, it's very much like um, Twisted Sister was a club band for 10 years, um, and then We're Not Going to Take It was just you talk about a song that's still played today. That's played on presidential campaigns and stuff. And that song almost kind of ruined them because it was such a big hit. I mean, like, I'm 55, so I was around for that. Um, era of that song being so massive, and it happens with a lot of bands, to be honest with you. Quiet Riot. People, kind of, were exposed to Quiet Riot only through "Come On Feel the Noise" and "Mama We're All Crazy Now," which, funny enough, were both Slade songs. But Quiet Riot in the late '70s and very early '80s, when Randy Rhoads was still in them, they were Van Halen's main competition on the Strip. Gazzarri's, the Starwood. Um, people are like, "What?" But if you listen to, and I don't think it's on Spotify, but it's a Quiet Riot. They released their first 2 albums in Japan, and there's a compilation of that. I have the CD, but so I don't think it's on Spotify, but you could see, like, "Oh my god, this band's really good." I mean, Randy Rhoads was every bit the guitar player Van Halen was. But, "Come On Feel the Noise" just kinda, uh, I guess you'd say, unfortunately, catapulted them into the hair metal world, because that was right around the time Rat, Motley Crue, and even Kiss was making a comeback with the glam look, Lick It Up and Animalize and Asylum and Crazy Nights. Uh, so I do have a CD collection, little boy, um, and I'm giving it away, to be honest with you. I wish, on this shitty camera I have, I wish I could tilt it this way. I have probably 1,000 CDs, and but now that everyone listens to music on Spotify, CDs are basically useless unless you get like the Quiet Riot CD from Japan, which is not on Spotify. There are some albums that aren't released on Spotify, and that Randy Rhoads one was one of them. And I've talked to Lee Purcell a few times, William, via Messenger. She's very nice. She didn't want to do the podcast, which I get. But I said, "Hey, listen, I don't want to talk to you just about Valley Girl. I'm a big fan of Big Wednesday, and I love that movie." And you could tell she's just over it, and I get it. Yes, and Alexis Arquette was the kid in the She's a Beauty video, like the little kid who goes on the ride throughout the video. That's David Arquette's then brother, now sister, and I think recently passed. I have met David Lee Roth. I met him twice. Once was at the. I used to, I'm very much like my dad. My dad was friends with billionaires and prostitutes and everything in between. So when I was old enough to drive, and I'm still, well, I'm not quite the horse racing fan I used to be, because I realized that they drug the horses and they basically abused the horses to go faster. So I'm kind of anti-horse racing at the moment, and probably never will go back to going to it. But as an early teen and into my early 20s, I would go to Santa Anita in Hollywood Park a lot with the caddies from my dad's country club. And it's sad for me to tell the story, because this guy's now, a lot of these guys have died, but the caddies were really I wasn't the coolest kid in grade school and early years of high school. I was a class clown, typical class clown, but some of my best friends were the caddies at the country club. Um, they loved my dad, so they, because my dad was a great tipper, so they all looked out after me. So I would go back and say, "Hey, you should have this guy caddy for you." Um, and I would go to Santa Anita a lot with this guy by the name of Johnny Cinder, Cinder. I believe that's how he spelled it. And one time we're at and we'd always go into the infield. If you've ever been to a racetrack, you really should. I mean, there's several areas where you should watch from. The rich person's area, the turf club is what they typically call it, but you got to know someone to get in there. And then you go down to the bottom where all the degenerate gamblers are. It's pretty fun. You're literally getting horse tips from guys with no shoes on. Uh, and then the infield is beautiful. It's just grass and whatnot. So one time, me and Johnny are walking through the infield, and Johnny lights up a joint. Now, I've never had a drug in my life, so I just, I wasn't really too interested. And all of a sudden, I hear this voice to Johnny going, "You got the right idea, brother." And he was wearing like a safari hat and whatnot. It was David Lee Roth. So Johnny and David Lee Roth shared a joint, and I just stood there. I was like, "Fuck, that's David Lee Roth." And then it was nice, shook our hands, said, "See you, fellas." And then I met him once at was it Crazy Girls on La Brea and Sunset. It's a strip club, and we're in there and we're doing our thing. I'm with my group of friends, and David Lee Roth is with a harem of like six beautiful women. And I walk by him, and he touches me on the thigh, and then, like the gayest voice, like, "You look dangerous," and I'm like, "Oh, I got to go." What? Um, yeah. Well, I don't think that killed Quiet Riot, William. I think what killed them was really their first 2 hits and arguably their only 2 hits, being, Slade covers. Uh, but they also had great luck, their videos were good. I mean, MTV was just popping at that point. I mean, that was arguably the prime of MTV, that 83 to 86 era. It certainly would help Twisted Sister, helped get Kiss back into the spotlight. I mean, that Lick It Up video was constantly played. Even the video for All Hell's Breaking Loose, which was really the first rap rock record or rap rock song. Remember let me see if I could sing it. Street Hustle walks up to me one day when I'm minding my own business. Now he looks me up, he looks me down and says, "Hey man, what be this and what be that? And why do you got to look like that?" I just looked at him, I kind of laughed and said, "Hey man, that ain't cool. I had to breathe." That was really the first fusing of rapping and together to my ears. Thank you. Do you still keep in touch with Diamond Dave? No, I don't. We don't really run in the same circles. Uh, cool boy. Um, well, soundtracks were a weird time in that era from like 80, I would say 83 to like 87. If you look at, well, I think the Slade covers were Come On Feel the Noise and Mama We're All Crazy Now. And, you look at the band King Cobra, they didn't really have any hits. And that was a great band. Carmen Appice on drums. You have Mark Free, a great vocalist who's now Marcy Free. Mick Sveda on guitar, who later played with the Bullet Boys. I think you had Johnny Rod, who played bass with Wasp, and I forget the other guy. They did that song "Never Say Die" on the Iron Eagle soundtrack. I mean, Louis Gossett Jr. was in the fucking video, and they never did anything after that because Iron Eagle was kind of a bomb, to be honest with you. Even though they had like I think 2 or 3 sequels, uh, and the main, uh, well, the dad in Iron Eagle was Tim Thomerson, Comedy Store Paid Regular, and you had Jason Gedrick. There's kind of a rip off of Top Gun, or it's very similar to Top Gun to a degree. So it just like if you really wanted to watch an Air Force movie, you're gonna pick Top Gun. But it I mean it's a very 80s movie, but I've always made the joke, and I don't do it a lot because probably very few people have seen the video, but I can only imagine the sales pitch Louis Gossett Jr.'s agent gave him, like, "Hey, you know, the movie's not doing that well. They're going to do a song for the soundtrack and a video called Never Say Die. It's by this band King Cobra." And I'm sure Louis Gossett Jr. was like, "Who the fuck is that?" Well, you're going to meet him because you're going to be in the video. And it's a pretty funny video. Um, and it's crazy to watch Mark Free as a man knowing he's now a woman. Uh, so, Marilyn Manson. No, I've never met anyone from Nine Inch Nails. I've met Marilyn Manson before at Ozfest. I'm not like the biggest fan of his music, although I did like him in Sons of Anarchy. Um, yeah, but here's the crazy thing, William, is in the '70s, Tim Thomerson was a huge comic. Like people, like this goes to show you how big Tim Thomerson was. and he's still alive. I think he's retired in La Jolla. Of course, I loved him in Uncommon Valor. Yeah, heavy metal movie is a good soundtrack. I don't want to leave out anyone's. Who was in Jaws 3? Okay, not sure who you were talking about. But to show you how big Tim Thomerson is, if you ever go to the Comedy Store, you go in the original room, and when the lights go down and the neon lights are on, there's about, I think, 10 neon signs with certain comics names. Sam Kinison, Dice Clay, Roseanne Barr. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry, Kate. Louis Gossett Jr. Yeah, you know, it's a weird time back then. He won an Oscar, I think, for Officer and a Gentleman, if I do believe. And that the thing back then in the '80s was like, if you did a couple bombs, you were forgotten about. Like people kind of forgot John Travolta after he did that movie with fucking who was it, Lily Tomlin. It killed his career for. I mean, Staying Alive was like Wuthering Heights compared to that Lily Tomlin movie. Um, but getting back to the original room story, so if you go to the original room to see a show, um, and the lights go down, you'll see Sam Kinison, Roseanne, I think Argus Hamilton's name, and Tim Thomerson's name is one of the 10 names in neon. So, I mean, it's a big deal to get your name on the wall at the Comedy Store. If you ever go there, mine's in the front, right before you walk in. But it's an even bigger deal to have your name in neon in the original room. I mean, so um, but yeah, Louis Gossett Jr., like I don't know what I'm trying to remember what he did. I think he did, well, Diggstown was after Iron Eagle, but even if you win an Oscar back then, if you had a bomb or two, I mean, Stallone barely survived, and he had a few bombs, but he also had a lot of big hits. Um, like he had the Rocky, but then Lords of Flatbush was kind of a stinker, but then Rocky 2 was big, and then Rhinestone was kind of a stinker, and then Nighthawks was not a complete bomb, but did not do as well as people thought. And then Rocky 3 was a big hit. And he had a nice run. Rocky 4 was a big hit. Cobra was a big hit. Um, Tango and Cash was a big hit. Um, Over the Top, it wasn't like a box office smash, but it wasn't a bomb. So, and then, the varying qualities after that, I loved Cliffhanger, but, the Daylights was kind of a stinker. But, Schwarzenegger had the same thing, like, Terminator, big hit, um, Conan, big hit, and then Commando was a big hit, and then Raw Deal was just kind of, it's not that it was a bomb, but it was just like, stuck in the middle of all these giant movies he did, and then right after Raw Deal was Predator and Total Recall, and then Twins. So people just kind of forget about Raw Deal. It is one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies. Great cast with Ed Lauter, the original Captain Canower of The Longest Yard, and Paul Shinar, Sosa from Scarface. He died of AIDS about 2 years after Raw Deal. Um, but that's back when if you were gay, you had to kind of keep it under wraps. Um, I think, Van Damme went through the same thing. First couple movies, big hits, and then, it goes downhill. And Seagal definitely started out on fire, and then, it's pretty rough. Um, uh, well, I think, Earl, did you ever fully flush out your priest getting diddled by a group of altar boys? No, I haven't. Bannon rules. Thank you for joining. Um, I mean, I was an altar boy for a very long time, and basically, my only joke is, why didn't I get molested? I was a good-looking guy. I mean, I was literally the same size since I was in fourth grade. So, like, they should have wanted. I probably looked too much like an adult. See, there's a joke. Now we're doing bitter shit in the chat. Hello. I mean, I don't think they could remake Cobra. They put it with CGI. I mean, part of the great thing about Cobra is when you watch it, does it hold up? Not necessarily. It's a very 80s movie, but it's kind of cool because there's no CGI. The car chase is one of the best car chases of the last 30 years. Um, I'm not saying it's French Connection good, but like it's good. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, Arnold kind of lost me with Kindergarten Cop. Raw Deal is underrated, to be honest with you. Love that joke. Well, I tell you, and I'm not that big. I think people until they meet me, they don't realize I'm not that big. I'm about, I would say, conservatively, I'm probably 6'1" at the tallest, and right now, because of yoga, I'm probably an even two bills. Uh, but I was literally 6'1" when I was in the fourth grade. I wasn't 200 pounds. I would say I was fairly skinny. I was probably about, I mean, I'm guessing fourth grade, 150. I mean, it was so bad that I went to, I'll never forget this. Uh, my doctor's office was on Wilshire and San Vicente in Brentwood, for those of you local yokels. And Dr. Catherine Wexler, I'm assuming she might be dead, maybe not, because she was like probably 30, 40 years ago, but I guess she'd still be alive. She was my doctor, and she's like, "Mrs. Skakel, we might have to take Earl's pituitary gland out, um, because he's, our growth charts have him being possibly, by the time he gets to high school, 7 feet." Um, I know, you should have seen me sitting at these little desks at Good Shepherd grade school. Like I literally was like a giant sitting in these things. But then I just stopped growing. I got to high school, and like even for freshman year in high school, they wanted me so bad on the football team. But that's when my athletic career kind of ended. That is a great car, Ross, from Cobra. But when I showed up my first day of freshman orientation at Notre Dame High, and I talked about this before, but I literally had never seen someone my age bigger than me. So, like in Good Shepherd slash Beverly Hills grade school, I was dominating. Like I really was. Like no one could stop me. I was an unstoppable force. In football, we'd play tackle football on cement. No one, it'd take 5 kids to take me down. I broke one kid's arm who tried to like lasso me, and I just broke right through it and stepped on his arm. Eric Bravo, we're still friends. In basketball, I was like Shaq and Blue Chips. So just give me the rock, and I was probably, I would say, 3 to 4 inches taller than the next tallest kid. But then in high school, I remember these two black kids, freshmen, who were probably 6'4" and 6'6". I'm just looking. I felt like the kid at Fast Times looking up at Forrest Whitaker, going, "I thought they just flew you in for games." I'm like, "What grade are you guys?" And they're like, "Freshmen." I'm like, "Oh fuck, where are the golf tryouts?" But I did play one day of high school football at Notre Dame High, and they were pissed I left the team because my mom wouldn't sign the insurance waiver. So I, I'll never forget. I cried. I tried out for the basketball team, and I should have made it because I was pretty. I mean, I was a rebound. I was like a white Rodman, a Rodzilla, Earlzilla. But the coach was like, "It probably would have been better if you played football." Basically saying, "We're not going to use you because you didn't play football." So Terry Cottle, I remember everything. Fuck you. Coach Ron House, fuck you. Uh, isn't that weird? I can remember their names. Like, unlike the Mossad, when they started hunting down all the people responsible for the 72 Olympic massacre, I don't forget. I don't forgive. Once you're on the list, you're on it forever. Well, it's the Big Earl. Well, I was the smallest kid in high school. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Some people are the smallest and then they grow. Um, well, yeah, I mean, this is, here I thought, I'll do an AEW collision review, and then, I thought that would take maybe a half hour. And here we are almost at the 2 hour mark. And it does help. I mean, like I said, I've noticed from last week to this week, I think I picked up 200 or 300 subscribers on YouTube, a couple followers on Instagram, not too many. And I would say probably about 20. The hardest um, social media thing for me to get followers on seems to be Twitter. I've tapped out at I think 11,800. and sometimes it goes below 11,800 because I think they get rid of the bots and the porn things that follow you. But I'm now, I think, because of these streams, back up to 11,820, which is probably the most I've ever had. I definitely hit a peak when after roast battle, I picked up. I think like that weekend, I picked up 2 or 3 thousand followers, and then it's been hard to because I don't buy followers and whatnot. I probably could and get away with it, but I got caught doing that for my podcast on iTunes. So, I don't feel guilty about it, but it made me go, I'm never going to do that again. So when you see me have 11,800 followers on Twitter, it's legit. About the same amount on Instagram, it's legit. On YouTube, it's legit. I mean, but you know, oh, thank you. I'm too real on Twitter. Um, oh yeah, I mean, I mean, in the '70s and '80s, the molesting stuff was, you know, it was so. I look back. I went to my grade school was called Beverly Hills Catholic. Later turned into Good Shepherd Grade School and Good Shepherd Church. And I look back now, and I mean, there were some priests that just disappeared. Like they just weren't there anymore. Like, I remember the names: Father Prieb, Prieb. B is in baseball. I mean, he was a very popular priest in the parish, and then I don't know if he did anything, but he just disappeared one day. Monsignor Sullivan disappeared one day. Monsignor Healy disappeared one day. So, who knows if that's what was, but I do. Funny enough, I was such a good kid in grade school. I wasn't. The great thing about these energy drink cans is they're a fantastic back scratcher. I was such a good kid. I might have to go to the pen though because that's really scratchy. I was such a good kid in grade school. They sent me to a monastery in the 8th grade because they thought, um, Earl, you're a good kid. You might be good priest material. And I don't mean Judas Priest. Uh, yeah, there we go. That hits the spot. This hits the spot if you have a back itch, by the way. I have not downloaded it yet. I will do a AEW Fight Forever review when I get around to it. Um, but that's the crazy thing. And I remember when I started taking ice skating lessons. That I don't know what the molester rate was for that, but I would guess. I mean, when you think about most of the teachers are older, and obviously their students are incredibly young. I mean, not so much in the because I was taking ice skate like basically hockey ice skating lessons, but like figure skating, I could absolutely see grooming going on there. But when I was a kid, I didn't put two and two together. Earl, I don't think I could sit through a Corey Feldman concert, although he did get me good once at roast battle. He was judging, and I was. This is when I was the house hater, and I think I made a joke. He had these two bimbos with him. Made a joke about. He said something to the effect of, "Hey Corey, you gonna go powder your nose with these two girls?" He's like, "That's more than you'll ever do with them." Like he got me, but he was cool. Who knows what that guy saw with Michael Jackson? Like, I mean, I know Michael Jackson could moonwalk, but please, let's be real about what was going on at the Neverland Ranch. I mean, Stevie Wonder could see that shit. Uh, so yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, now it's a little more. I mean, my brother was molested by his tutor, and it's a joke I do on stage. But I don't. My brother probably wouldn't mind, but like, I just remember her name was like Amy or something, April or Amy, and she had these giant tits, and like how we did it in my family was the tutor. We used the same tutor, this girl, and she would tutor all the kids. My sister, my brother, and then my other sister, and then my brother Andrew, and then I was next. And I remember walking in the first day of like high school, going, "Oh my god!" Like all the sessions were in the living room, but the living room doors were closed, so you had to open them. And I remember opening them up, and there was this Jewish guy there named Harold, and he looked like Gabe Kaplan from Welcome Back, Kotter with glasses. Like he looked probably more like Gene Shalit. And I'm like, "Where's Amy?" And Harold's like, "You should talk to your mom after. I'll be your tutor now." So after it's the longest hour I've ever had in my life. And when you're thinking you're going to see this blonde with big tits, and it's fucking Gene Shalit basically. That hour went by like. So afterwards he leaves, and I go up to my mom. "Hey, where's Amy? This is like a temporary deal, right? Because this is probably when I'm 13 or 14. My hormones are through the roofie." Uh, and it's like, "Oh well, sit down, or I've got to tell you something. Your brother was inappropriately touched by Amy. We had to let her go." I'm like, so I go. I was kind of bummed out. I mean, I understood it, but I was bummed out. And then I went into my brother's room. I said, "Hey, Andrew, you couldn't have waited a week?" Hello. Uh, I mean, Corey Feldman, like, what a life that guy's led. He's basically like Charlie Sheen without AIDS. Uh, you know, you feel bad for him. I mean, uh, who knows what happened to him with Michael Jackson, like, and other people. I mean, I see predators and groomers and whatnot almost on a fucking nightly basis in the world of stand up. I see it every night. Every show I'm at, there's some form of grooming going on, whether it's an older comic with a younger comic, or even like an older comic with an older comic who isn't that successful. And it's like, because the successful older comic knows that the unsuccessful older comic's probably pretty desperate and what they call in the comedy world thirsty. So they dangle the carrot in front of them. "Hey, do something with me and I'll get you an audition," or whatever. And it's like, they ain't gonna get them shit. And here's the crazy thing, I'm the bad guy for speaking out about it. So I'm quiet now. You're on your own, kids. Enjoy it. But thank you guys for tuning. I know it's late, it's Monday night. What time is it here in Los Angeles? It's 11:16. So I'll probably cut this chat now. But I do appreciate the six of you who've hung in there. And hello. Well, I mean, Jeff is Jeff. You either believe him or you don't. I'm on a gag order with him, so I can't really say anything. But uh, it's just the way it is. I'm the one that's told to be quiet. Um, but I always think, not that I wanted to talk about the Me Too and cancel stuff. Uh, I follow an open secret on Twitter. I think they're on Twitter. I don't know if it's the same thing, but and there's also a good website, crazydaysandnights.net, where they do blind item stories. So they don't name anything, but they leave you enough clues where you know who they're talking about. It's a very good. I don't want to say a fun read, but they expose a lot of things. But you also have to worry. You can't say someone is this or that without absolute proof, because then you could get sued. Um, but it's just. Oh, okay. I mean, I probably know some of them. I mean, there's so much grooming that goes on, but nobody cares. They just don't. Because it's like the Epstein thing, where you just have, Epstein had stuff on people, so um, you just have to just hope one day justice is served, and um, these fucking creeps and predators get caught, and it's a sad. It's probably not the note I wanted to end my stream on, but it's something that is passionate with me. But I also think the accused should be heard too, um, because there are some cases where um, people are accused of stuff. You have a bad breakup, and people can get vindictive and say something that's not true, and so I think no matter who you believe or don't believe, hear both sides before you make your judgment, um, because it's a dangerous world. One tweet, one false tweet can ruin someone, um, or a false Instagram story or whatever. Um, Especially with older cases. If you look at um, you look at I think what was it? Steven Tyler was just accused of sexual assault by some girl in the 70s, and it's like obviously back then there was no there's no screenshots or way to document any abuse, so it's really he said. Now, and obviously it's literally 50 years. I think she said 73, so 53 years or 50 years ago, literally to this year, that the alleged abuse happened. So how do you prove it? You know, so what do you? I mean, it's he said, she said, and then I think whenever it's a he said, she said type of incident or situation, you have to look at corroborating evidence that goes towards one side or the other. Um, like I had an ex after we broke up, start telling people I threw her down a flight of stairs. Now, there's no proof. It's he said, she said, and so I'd get comics come up to me and ask me about it, and I'm like, hey, I don't even have a side of the story. It's nope, didn't happen, and my heart rate wouldn't didn't go up 1 inch because I knew I didn't do it. Um, so that's why I say always hear both sides and then make your own decision. Now, luckily for me, in my case, um, I'm so well liked in the Los Angeles comedy scene that uh, just no one believed her. Um, even the people who don't think I'm funny, which I'm sure there are many, were told this and like, hey, we know Earl. He's a lot of things, but he ain't that. So my reputation actually helped me. But even like, and say something like Steven Tyler's case, where you think, okay, he was a pussy hound, he was all fucked up on drugs in the 70s, he did it. You don't know that, you know. Now, the likelihood of him doing it, I could see it, but you know, um, you know, you have to look at that case and go, okay, has the girl accused other people of doing this? Is this her only accusation? Why did she wait 50, literally 50 years to come out? And I understand that a lot of times victims and abusers are embarrassed because they feel it's their fault. So that's never really bothered me in terms of why they come out years later. I mean, and I've joked about this a lot, um, when I talk about the attempted Me Too situation with the head casting guy or one of the heads of casting at Fox twice. Nothing happened, but he tried twice. Um, at the time it happened, I was just like, yeah, that's just the business. You just experienced your first casting couch situation. And that was like whenever Millennium was on the air, so late, I think right when I started comedy, so 98, 99. And I just thought for a decade plus, that's just the way the business was. And then, when Rose McGowan came out and she really spearheaded the Me Too situation, I started going, God, that was fucked up what happened to me, or what was attempted on me. Um, and unfortunately for me, the guy passed away. So, there's no justice. I mean, he didn't do anything, but he tried. So I guess, what could be done? I mean, I probably could have sued him at the minimum for sexual harassment twice, but, you know, that's a he said, she said thing, or he said uh, thing, and even if he was alive, and I'm sure he had access to amazing lawyers. He could have been like, "He's lying. He wanted an audition. I didn't give it to him because he's a shitty actor." They totally go after the accused. So, uh, well, who knows if he was alive, but, it's a weird world. Well, that's the funny thing is, now that, he casted X-Files and Millennium and many other things. Um, if you watch Now I've watched X-Files, I watched all the seasons, but, Millennium was one of my favorite 3-season shows. There's always almost, not every, but almost every episode, there's a part for, like, the good-looking UPS guy or the good-looking, assistant sheriff or, the guy in the office with one line. There's always, like, a role in, Millennium for, like, a guy with one line that's, like, a really good-looking guy, and, like, "Oh, man, that could have been me. Fuck." Um, I mean, it's the business though. Lambda, lambda, lambda. Um, well, that's the thing, William, in regards to Steven Tyler. Like the guy fucked so many girls, he probably doesn't even remember this girl, but obviously she probably doesn't, not knowing her case, but like, Steven Tyler's very memorable to her. And so, I mean, Steven Tyler's fucked thousands of women. You know, so if you go back to him and his lawyer and go, "Do you remember this girl in a recording booth in a restaurant in New York City?" He'd be like, "I don't remember what I did 2 days ago, bro." Um, yeah, I love Lance Hendrickson. Well, I think the problem with Millennium, to be honest with you, it's probably best to get off the Me Too cancel stuff. But I love talking about it because I'm so passionate about it. But I mean, it is what it is. But one last thing on that is just uh, you know, hear both sides. Because normally I would say, who would lie about being raped or molested or accused or whatever? Like, who would lie about that unless it happened? But then, when I had my situation, it's like, oh, people do lie. Um, so, but Millennium, I think, was just too dark for Fox. I remember the pilot episode. I think it was a guy who blew up buildings, and when he would blow up the building, he would stand across the street and jack off. And that was just, I was like, man, this is big movies. So he kind of, the show Chain of Millennium was really good. And then the next few seasons are up and down. Where'd this man go? Peter Beater, where'd this man go? I don't know I don't know what you're talking about. Cool boy, man, I don't know what that means either. The chat's getting weird, but we're also 2 hours and 13 minutes in. So I do appreciate the 13 people listening, but you're going to have to decipher. How do you say my name? Skakel. I'm seeing you. Please give Tracy a hug for me. Give Ray DeVito a hug. Although I don't think you'll see me too much more in the dabble world, or dabbleverse, whatever the hell they call it. I had a guy wish me bone cancer after I didn't vote for Ray in the battle last week. Jesus Christ. Uh, Cool boy called my home and went real life on me. I'm not sure what that means, to be honest with you. Uh, oh, I don't know. No doxing in chat. I don't know what's going on right now, but please, no doxing, no name calling. If you want to do the name calling and dox, then go in the Dabbleverse world. Uh, no, no, I don't want. I'd rather not get the views, to be honest with you. So you guys settle down, settle down. No, I never saw that tutor again. She just disappeared. Um, but let's. This is a drama-free stream, guys and girl, Kate, if you're still here. Um, you know, like once again, go listen to the Dabbleverse world if you want the drama and name calling and doxing. Uh, Peter Beater, I would be a wrestling manager, but I'm too old to wrestle. Um, but Ron Funches, he's not nearly as old as I am, but he did a very good match. Uh, I'd like to be a manager of some capacity. I thought maybe I'd start out in XPW. Thank you, Northwest Ken. I appreciate that. I mean, what can I do, Ken? I can't force people to watch me, but I don't know what that has to do with my voting. All right, well, Cool Boy and Lambda Lambda Lambda. I don't know how to put you guys in timeout, but Northwest Ken, I have 11 people watching. Let's be accurate with the numbers. Please, no doxing in here. No Dabbleverse drama. I'm begging you. Now I'm back to 10. Oh, I don't mind Northwest Ken. I mean, I know my social media and certainly my live streams are not getting Kevin Brennan numbers or Melton numbers or Shuley Network numbers or who are these podcast numbers. But I got to be honest with you, I don't mind it. Ewan Jefferson. All right, we got a fast time span in the house. Uh, I'd rather have 10 people in chat and have it be a fun uh, time in here than, I'm sure I could have a show on Melton's network or Shuley's network or Bob Levy's network or MLC, do something. Um, but, get much more numbers. But, obviously I want more numbers than 8 people watching, but I'm having a good time. I mean, this 2 hours and 17 minutes, I've had a great time tonight. And hopefully it's building towards getting me more numbers. Outside of your comedy and voiceover work, I mean, I do act from time to time, but I'm much more involved in the voiceover world. And I do a lot of. I don't have a CD to give away, to be honest with you. But I'm working on a merch giveaway. I don't have any merch either. I don't want to be one of those idiots who sells merch, but nobody knows who they are. But I hope to at some point be able to have stuff to sell. But I'd rather people pay to see me live when I'm in their town or whatever. I do like the animation world because it's easy work. Uh, no, Lambda, 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 and Cool Boy. I don't have an issue with you guys, but I just, this is a drama-free stream. Uh, oh, thank you, thank you. I think you're the only one who bought it, to be honest with you. And I mean, I do have a shirt on ProWrestlingTees.com, the Inappropriate Earl podcast shirt. But I got to be honest with you, and even though I don't do things for money, I mean, I love money. I mean, but like the cut isn't very fair there. I think it's like if you sell a shirt for $25 or $20, you only get like $7 or $8, and it's just like it's just not worth it to me to promote that. I'd rather someday in the future, when I have a full website up and running, sell T-shirts that I don't know cost me $5 to sell for $20, and so I get $15 profit or whatever. Well, Peter Beater, DM me on Instagram. I mean, I'm not against merchandise, but like I said, I mean, I think right now I have a pretty small fan base. It's loyal, but it's small. But so I really don't want to be a guy who sells T-shirts. I'd rather. I'm working on a special that unfortunately it's been delayed because Ryan is out on tour with Ari now, and he's helping me with it. Um, but I will be releasing some stand-up clips on YouTube just to get the party going. Good night, Ross. Thank you very much for listening. So I'm really trying. I want an Earl Skakel shirt. Well, I mean, keep listening, Santos. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but you never know. I'm not opposed to selling T-shirts or merch, but it would have to be like a I forget the site that it's called. I'm sure Peter Beater knows where everything's made and shipped somewhere else, and I basically collect a check. It's not that I'm being lazy. I just, uh, I don't. Now that the acting world and animation stuff is gearing up again, I don't have the time to go to the post office really that much. Um yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I'm known. I don't necessarily have catchphrases, but a lot of people in the LA comedy scene, when they tell me something like, "Hey, I went to I don't know, the Tyler the Creator show the other night," my standard reply is, "I bet you did." So I bet you did is kind of my catchphrase, or suck it, but or hello. So there's some opportunity there to make a few dollars, I guess. I think a cool thing, and I'll be honest, my ex-girlfriend Chandler made the design during the pandemic. She made a stencil of it's basically a caricature of my face with glasses, and that could be a cool logo. So I did not go to the Camp Flog Dog Fest. It's not my kind of music. Thank you, Northwest Ken. Show us. It's outside right now, and I will show you. Well, if you look at, let me. The next stream I'll show you. I'd have to look for it on my iPad, and I don't want to like. Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can find it real fast. It would be a great like a Roderick Strong. If you watch AEW, it kind of looks like his outline. Let me see here. This might not be the best. Oh, here we go. So let me. So I'm gonna. I don't know if this will be reverse imaged, but here we go. You can see that. Wait, hold on. All right, that didn't work. Oh, maybe this one. Yeah. So you get the idea. So I used to stencil that on the sidewalk. And so that could be a good T-shirt or a button or a sticker, bumper sticker or whatever. Really, my main concentration right now is yes, I won't. I knew that would happen. It's a new iPad too. My main concentration right now is not selling merch; it's stand up and promoting it on YouTube, TikTok, and the live streams. Um, that's really, I think, where my brain is headed. And then when the time is right, hopefully the special is released. We got to shoot it first. But basically, what's happening with my special is we've done over the last year, year and a half. Me, Ryan, and Pistol Pete Lazarus have done a documentary style production of why I don't have a special. And we've gone to various points of my childhood and adult life. And I've told stories, and we've probably got about 30 to 40 hours of usable footage of why I don't have a special. So we don't know if we're going to release that um, as a standalone and then do a special, or you release it all in one shot, like a 3 hour special, where it's a 2 hour documentary, and then the rest is this actual special. So, and we're looking at not just, in my head, I always wanted to film it at the Comedy Store because that's my home club. But there have been a lot of recent specials done there. Sarah Tiana's, which is really good. It's called 44. Check it out. Taylor Williamson just did a special there. I think there's one or two other specials that have been filmed there. So I'm kind of like, I don't want it to look just like everyone else's. So I have procured a location that is very, very unique. It will be visually different than most specials, and that's the idea. I want people to watch. Let's say it goes to Netflix. There's a lot of shit on Netflix. I want people to see the cover photo of the special. What the fuck is this? And then they watch and hopefully stay for the jokes. But who knows? There's so many specials out there that you have to come up with a different angle, or yours is just going to get swallowed up with all the others. Well, I mean, we could film it in Costa Rica. See, I could be the only nine. So I'm going to cut the stream now. We're at two. Might be the record longest stream in the. It's not necessarily an inappropriate Earl, but it is a um, the Earl Skakel you stream show. Well, I mean, it's time to end it. You're getting tired, Earl. You're babbling like one of them. See. I think everyone follows me already. Earl Skakel everywhere. No, it will not be taped at the Sweet Cheeks. Thank you very much. Um, Watch Jordan the Lion's travel vlog Days. That's Daze with Jordan the Lion. He's one of my main inspirations and gives me advice on what and what not to do on these streams. And be a couple streams this week, AEW related, and then of course we'll branch off into crosstalk about whatever you guys in chat want to talk about. The chat's really for you guys. Um, I do this to showcase my love of wrestling, but I'm appreciative of the 11 people who have tuned in and the others as well who are no longer with us. And let's thank you for helping me. I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie. It's a 2.5 hour stream. I don't know if I could do that every night. I've got to build up my endurance still, because like Kevin Brennan did the other night, a 5 hour stream. Uh, that's pretty crazy. I'm going to try Northwest Ken to do as little Dabbleverse talk as I can. It just doesn't interest me that much, to be honest with you. Thank you, Peter Beater. I appreciate it very much. But Northwest Ken, if you want Dabbleverse World, there's just better listing options than me. Melton does 4 or 5 hour streams in his sleep. Um, Kevin does at least 3 hour streams every day. Chad obviously is involved heavily in the Dabbleverse world. Who are these podcasts? Shuley Network, Bob Levy's network, Stuttering John. Like, it's just not a world I want to be in. Um, it's just everything's been said. I honestly have nothing new to add, and it just doesn't interest me that much. But I'm friends with pretty much everyone. Steel Toe as well. They're still in it. Um, it's funny. I think I'm going to the Echo to see Paul Stanley's kids band play Amber Wild. They were really good when I saw them open up for Kiss. Like they were really good. So they've reached out to me. I've reached out to them. Comedy and music doesn't really work, to be honest with you, Peter Beater. I'm not opposed to hearing the idea, but I'm at the point now where I'm 55 and been into comedy literally almost half my life. I'm done doing gigs that aren't set up for comedy. I'm not going to battle crowds at a bar or at a club that they're there for music and they'll just tolerate the comedy. I'd rather just not do it. I'd rather be home to a stream. I'm getting more from this stream than I would say if I went to the Echo tonight and did stand up between bands. Yeah, I mean the Comedy Store podcast. I don't know. I think they're only doing one podcast now out of the Comedy Store, and that's Justin Martindale's. Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, I figure, I know my numbers, to be frank, would be better if I just started talking shit about everyone in the dabble world because of my roasting background. I'd probably be one of the funnier people in the Dabbleverse world. But one, I don't roast people online. If I have a problem with someone, I say it to their face. and not to fight them, but I just find it. Uh, I think it was Mike Tyson actually said it best. Like everyone's tough behind the keyboard. If you have a problem with me, if you want to call me ugly, not funny, wish me bone cancer, like the one guy on Twitter did last week, say it to my face. Come to the comedy store. I'll give you VIP treatment. I'll pay for, I don't have to pay for the ticket. I'll get you in for free. I'll set you up with drinks. And then after the show, you can come meet me in the green room. Not to fight. I'm not going to lay hands on anyone. But I would love to see, because trolls are like hecklers at a comedy club. The other night at the Ice House, it was my first time playing the main room since I've done the smaller room, but it's my first time playing I think they call it the Legends room. And, I went on second to last. I was supposed to go on last, but Craig Robinson came in and said, "Hey, can I go on?" I was like, "Yeah, why don't you close it out? I'll bring you up." So I do about 15 minutes, and it's funny. It was at the Ice House, but most of the comics on the lineup were comedy store guys. So it was like a comedy store away game, and you know, the minute I got on stage, this drunk Mexican stage left, my right, just heckling me and going on and on and on, and like really wouldn't shut up really the whole 15 minutes. But I'm really good with hecklers because I realize like trolls, they just want a little attention. They want a little acknowledgement. And the biggest thing I see that people who have problems with hecklers is they don't let the crowd know that, hey, I'm being bothered, which is affecting my performance, which you guys paid to see because this person over here is being a dick. Usually, most comics just shit on a guy, and the audience doesn't know yet that the heckler's being disturbing. Because some hecklers are quiet. Like in my hearing, it's like a coyote. I hear everything. Um, so I'm super sensitive on stage when someone says something. So this guy might say something that I can hear, but the couple over there, um, they don't know. That's why I'm agitated. So, um, you have to turn the crowd on the heckler, and then it's all good. But my point is: after the show, the guy literally sought me out. Now, at this point, I don't know if he's trying to fight me or whatnot, but the ice house has armed guards, so nothing's going to happen to Daddy-O. Uh, because I think these armed guards are good at what they do. And uh, guy, he does a standard line. Almost 90% of hecklers will go find the comic after the show and be like, he literally says to me, "Hey, we were great, weren't we?" I'm like, "No, I was great. You were horrible." And we laughed and took a picture. But that's how I deal with online trolls. One, I usually don't answer them because that's what they want. And then once you answer a troll online, you just go back and forth and back and forth, and then just like the guy who wished me bone cancer. My initial process was to say "fuck you, man." I mean, the level of mental illness that you have to wish a comic bone cancer, and I've known people who died from bone cancer. It ain't pretty because I didn't vote for Ray DeVito in a roast. Like that's fucking insane. That was my initial response, but you know what? I said, "Don't," because that's what he wants, and the guy never even tweeted at me again because he wanted that attention. He wanted to go back and forth. And I'm like, "I'm good." So if you want that kind of interactions, you're not gonna get them on here with me. This is a drama-free zone, and I think, let me see here. Hold on here, I'm trying to get what was that, what's the guy's name who was heckling me, just now in here? Comic Boy or, what's the guy's name? Uh, but, I played with him a little bit, and he was he warmed up to my, like, "Hey, bro, I'm not gonna go at it with you here." Well, I mean, Northwest Ken, I'm not gonna say the dabble world sucks. I get it. Um, But yeah, they have armed security guards at the Ice House. But uh, it. I would think the Dabbleverse, the Dabble world, it thrives on negativity. And you even saw it in the roast battle last week, where Chad and Ray at the end of the roast were kind of getting along, and Kevin, funnily, said, "Oh, we can't have you guys getting along." Um, like he was kidding, but he kind of wasn't. Like you need negativity for other hosts to go after each other. Like you have Carl going after Shuley. No, Carl going after Stuttering John, and then Shuley goes after Stuttering John, and then Kevin Brennan goes after Shuley, and who are these podcasts go after Kevin, and then Melton gets into the fray, goes after Chad. Chad goes after Bob Levy. Bob Levy goes. It's like a vicious circle. But the problem is they've all now gone after each other. So they need more new victims, and I think I'm the perfect victim because I'm kind of new to the. I mean, I'm dabble versus adjacent because I have gone on like Chad's podcast and MLC a bunch, and I mean, I've never been a guest on Melton's podcast, but I called in a few times or whatever, uh, and I was did a few episodes of Miserable Men on the Shoeing Network. I have no I don't think I've ever done anything with Steel Tiller. I don't think I've ever spoken with Carl. So I'm kind of like the perfect new victim, because I'm fresh, but I won't, get involved. I'm in a good place in my life. Like I wish I had more numbers than 6 people after a 2.5 hour stream, but I'd rather have 6 people, 9 people now, than have 1,000 people and half of them trolling me saying I'm a piece of shit or hoping that I have 10 people. Maybe I should complain about the numbers more. Uh, I'd rather have 10 people than have 1,000 people in here and have 500 of them trolling me, wishing me bone cancer. Like that's, I did have 13 at one point. Last week, I think my peak viewership was 18. So, well, oh, thank you, Peter Beater. I do care about the supporters because I only have, I have a small fan base. So, well, I don't think. I mean, I don't know what Ray did, or here's the thing. I'll say this about roast. I know it's late. I wanted to end a few minutes ago, but people ask me questions, I'll still answer them. Here's the thing about roast, and really specifically roast battle. It's kind of I don't know what you'd call it, a formula. And Kevin Brennan was talking about this earlier today. I still do listen to Kevin every day because he's just the funniest person in the dabble world to me. So I like his character. 'Cause, Kevin is authentic. You know, how he acts on these streams is how he is. Um, but I just think that, um, you know, it's just you need constant turmoil in the dabble world, and but with roast battle there's a formula for the jokes. It's either you look like, like when I used to battle, people would go, but this was never used, but it was something to the effect of, "Hey Earl, you look like a stretched out Brad Williams." um, the great who said that? I think Joe DeRosa said that, and I was shot back at him. "Hey Joe, you look like a mongoloid version of me." Roast battle jokes are hacky. It's by nature they're hacky. "Hey Earl, you look like Max Headroom fucked Kenny G." Well, hey, you know, you know, I don't know, whoever. You look like Stone Cold if he had AIDS. So, to be honest with you, I don't. I mean, I'll put it this way: I've known Tony for 15 years. I've never heard him say a racist thing. So, I know he got in a little bit of trouble with Ping Dang, that whole thing. But I don't, based on what I know, believe he is. Um, and we haven't really. talked a lot over the last couple years, but you know, I don't think he is from what I know. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is tough. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's not easy talking for 2 hours and 40 minutes straight, but I love it though. Peter Beater, hold on. I don't have backstage credentials, I don't think. I mean, I think I'm on Amber Wild's list. I think they play the Echo. Is the Echo the same as the Echoplex? I'm not familiar with the Los Feliz Eagle Rock. Uh, I mean, me and Tony used to be very good comedy friends, and we'd hang uh, at non-comedy events as well. And then, we kind of fell on different sides of the fence in terms of the Jeff Ross situation. So we haven't really been close since that. But I will, one of the happier times in my life with Tony is when he lost to K. Trevor Wilson in Montreal at Roast Battle. He still stuck around for the finale because it was going to be a great party. And he could tell I was really nervous. And he asked me if there's anything he could do. And I was about to battle Tiana, who was one of my best friends. And I said, "Hey, can you go outside? And find me any underwear or shorts with the Canadian flag on it." And Tony found the perfect pair. The pair, if you watched my roast battle with Sarah Tiana and also in K. Trevor Wilson, because it was the same, they were literally 20 minutes apart. It was the maple leaf underwear. And, I was so fucking nervous. I was like, "Hey, dude, I don't have my wallet on me." He's like, "I'll get it." And so, we're friends, but we just, haven't talked in a while. He's killing it in Austin. And, I went to Austin, I think a year and a half ago, and I had a good time, but I definitely wouldn't move there. Um, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm friends with Evan Stanley, but, we've been talking a little bit on Instagram. He's a very nice kid. He liked how I wore an Amber Wild shirt the other night at the Ice House. So, you know, very cool. Well, I don't drink, but, I'll take that wristband, Peter Beater. And, let's talk off air about potential merch, although I will say that's not my, um, point of focus right now. I really wanna do the streaming, and I think, although when I get to the 4,000 hours of, super chat time, when I guess people can pay if they wanna ask a question or whatever, um, I will still answer all the questions in chat. I think super chats for me are going to be a little different than they are for others because I am not going to openly ask for money from people. It's like if you want to donate because you're a fan of my comedy, great. If not, that's fine too. Um, because that's one of the things I don't like about super chats with certain people. Super chats have basically made the Dabbleverse and certain other shows that are Dabbleverse adjacent into basically online panhandling. Um, but I'm taking I guess, the stance of, hey, I've worked my ass off in comedy for 23 to 24 years. I'm not asking you for money, but if you want to send me whatever as a sign of respect, all good. Um, I make promotional. I mean, I don't tour a lot, to be honest with you, Santos. I guess if uh, I mean, I don't like asking for free stuff. I mean, I'd pay. I'd pay Andrew Stoken, my good friend. He did all the inappropriate cover work, cover art. Um, if I'm looking for something that someone from chat could help me, something. Anything that lists all my social media sites, which is very simple. It's, like youtube.com/Earl Skakel. Instagram.com/Earl Skakel, Twitter, same thing. Uh, I'm not really promoting Facebook anymore because I'm around the limit, and I think Facebook has kind of died anyway. Patreon.com/Earl Skakel. Just a picture of that, maybe with me and whatever picture that we could. Let me see if I can pull this up real fast. I'm not explaining it very well, but I hate to do this, but let me see if I can find the picture. Um, let's see here. This is unprofessional, but it is what it is. Let me see. This is what happens when I get nervous. Trying to find library. Hmm. Yeah. Just like a picture that I could, like, let's say, let me see here, people, this is not happening how I envisioned it. Let me see here. So, well, let me see if I can get something. No, I can't do that. Live photos. I'm trying to find this picture someone made for me that had all my social media on it. Um, but okay, here we go. Here we go. Give me 2 seconds, I will find it. So, like, see, I think Miserable Men made this, for, something like that. Let's see if I can. I don't know. It doesn't really. Trying to. There we go. That's not the best example. You see, like, it's a picture of me and then all my social media. I think that's YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. So something like that. Um, just so I could tweet that out, make an Instagram story where people know to follow me and all that stuff. Uh, I am. We already spoke briefly. I am the okay. Cool, cool. Thank you, Peter. Peter. Thank you guys. I'm losing a little bit of steam in full disclosure. So I appreciate you guys listening. It's almost a 3 hour stream, which is a lot for me. Um, but when I hit in stream, you guys could, do what I ask always: share, retweet it, like it at the minimum. That helps me, helps get the numbers up and whatnot. And I will probably do one more live stream before AEW Dynamite review on Thursday. Thank you, Peter. Oh, no problem. Thank you. And I really appreciate you guys. I mean, for a 3 hour stream at the end of it, to still have 10 people into it, I appreciate it. Let's try and keep this stream drama free. Thank you, Richard. I don't do a lot of Dabbleverse talk, but I will talk about it if you guys ask. I just prefer not to get into the drama and whatnot. Um, it's just not for me. I'm too old, man. 55. I can't be getting into internet flame wars with people, who have anonymous names. Boing. Let's end it on boing. So Earl Skakel over and out. Know where to follow me. EARLSKAKEL. All one word on all social media. And I know, I think the numbers are going up now, but I don't know what else to uh, talk about at this point. Well, cool boy. I think people wrongly assume that because of my roast battle resume and roasting background, like they see, if you want to see if you really want a good idea of my stand up, even though it's a roast, if you look up Earl Skakel, Shane Doan roast, that's probably the best 8 minutes ever recorded of me doing any stand up or roasting type of humor. I was killing. I very rarely kill. I do well, but like I was killing. So that's Shane Doan, ShaneDoan. My name Earl Skakel roast, and it's something I'm very very proud of. Well, cool boy, the drama will not get into me because it's just not my thing. I don't know how old you are, but at the age of 55, I'm not going to get into an internet flame war with like the kid. I'll assume it's a kid because it was written like a kid. I think it was I forget his Twitter name. It was on Twitter. Just it started out, "You suck. You add nothing to any show you're on, and I hope you die and get bone cancer." I just like Now there was a 2-second instinct uh, of me to, like I said, tweet the guy going, "Fuck you." Uh, Say it to my face, and then he would have shot back, and then I would have shot back, and it's like when I used to tell Chandler, my ex, because she's very fluid on TikTok, and she's a beautiful girl, uh, and people would call her fat or something, or make fun of some facial feature of hers, and and she used to go at them because she comes from a roasting background, and I'm like, don't, man. It's like one of the few pieces of advice I ever gave her because she's really smart. I was like, don't. You're feeding into the trolls. That's what they want. Because every guy making fun of you would fuck you in 2 seconds. They just want to hurt your feelings. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Cool boy, even if you're kidding. I mean, listen, I'll be honest with you, cool boy. I don't care if you check it out or you don't. It's not going to affect my life. But, check it out if you want. And if you don't, I still live in a $1 million condo with a big dick.